please subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. In this episode, we take you along with us on a 4,000-kilometer round trip to the Kgalagadi in the far northern Cape Province. We spend 3 days in Augrabies Falls National Park and visit Riemvasmaak, then into the Kgalagadi National Park for 4 days. After that, we make our way back through southern Namibia and visit some of the locations we missed in Season 1, like the magical quiver tree forest and the Mesosaurus fossil park just outside Keetmanshoop. The 14-day trip was created in the Tracks4Africa online trip planner, then synced with the Tracks4Africa guide app, which is mounted in our vehicle. With my mobile's location switched on, we can see our position in relation to the selected daily route.
Welcome back to the channel, everybody. This particular episode, Back to the Kgalagadi, will always stand out for us as being the adventure that we went on, where we honestly experienced 4 seasons in 2 weeks. We left Stellenbosch in extremely cold weather, made our way into the Matroosberg, where we experienced and drove through incredible snow. So difficult to believe in the month of September that could still happen. And it was my first snow experience, which was wonderful. We made our way up to Calvinia, where it was still very cold. And as we made our way through the Namibia land towards Augrabies and the Kgalagadi, the weather has got progressively warmer. And right now we are sitting about 35 kilometers outside of Keetmanshoop in Namibia. And it's kind of a combination of both the quiver tree forest, which we have visited very recently, as well as Giant's Playground, which is just around the corner.
So we've experienced a lot of different varieties on this particular trip. We had 3 fantastic days at Augrabies Falls. Although the water levels are quite low this time of year, it's a dry season. Nonetheless, we spent 3 days in the national park at Augrabies. We had some incredible giraffe sightings. You will see it in this episode, so stay tuned. We're going to show you some of the elusive cats we managed to film in Kgalagadi and some incredible landscapes that we've been driving around. Right now we're in the Mesosaurus fossil park, and this is their private 4x4 trail in the quiver tree forest. And it's, as Kirsten says, it's a combination of Giant's Playground, rock formations, and the quiver trees. In actual fact, we find it slightly better because one's got a little bit more freedom and there's no tourists here. If you love off-road driving, this episode is really going to appeal to you. We try to take as many backcountry gravel roads as we possibly could, but sometimes we had to do tar. We've had to do a little bit of route planning, changing as well, and we had a couple of issues with the Jimny, which we got sorted very quickly. But this is part of life and this is part of overlanding, so stay tuned and watch right to the end. A very different pack job today. We are taking the fridge with this time, and we don't have a roof tent on the roof, of course, so we have got 4 ammo boxes on the roof with pretty much everything we need, and basically our fridge is going in here and our 2 bags and camera bag. That's it. We are self-catering this entire trip. You just need a basic amount of cutlery, crockery. Most self-catering places are fully equipped, but we like to have our coffee and Bialetti stuff and those kinds of things, our special non-stick frying pan, and everything's on the roof. Fridge, bags, camera bag, and we're done. It's terrible weather. It has been last night, and this morning it was raining quite hard. We're going through Ceres, and there is tons of snow in Matroosberg, so we're going to quickly bypass through Ceres and go up to Klondike Cherry Farm and see how much snow we can see, and then we're heading the R355 all the way through to Calvinia. We climbed up towards Matroosberg. We're not quite in the reserve yet, and already the snow started falling quite thick, so we're going to proceed a little bit further and actually go into the Matroosberg reserve, and it's probably a lot thicker there.
This is really exciting for me.
the very first time that I've experienced snow, and it's just got thicker and thicker the deeper we've gone in. It's absolutely beautiful. I cannot believe that less than a month ago we were in the flower region experiencing flowers. It's incredible that we're having this snow at the beginning of spring.
The roads were in shocking condition, and we didn't really have the time to waste, so we turned around and headed out via Boer Swartmoed Pass onto the R355 to Calvinia. It was really interesting to see a few historical horse-drawn wagon enthusiasts reenacting the travel of a bygone era. After a comfortable night in Calvinia, we headed up the R355 towards Lauriesfontein, then took the gravel road to Kliprunt and the long, dead straight R358 gravel road to Pofadder. Good morning from the Northern Cape. We left Calvinia this morning and we went on the gravel road, the R355 to Lauriesfontein, topped up the fuel because it's quite a long way from Calvinia all the way to Pofadder. We topped up in Lauriesfontein and now we've taken a gravel road called Loop 6 which goes via Kliprunt and straight up to Pofadder. And it's amazing how different the landscape is. Hey Kirsten?
Absolutely. We were on this road less than a month ago when we were doing the flower episode, and I cannot believe how bland the landscape is in comparison to what it was on our last trip. I mean, it's still very beautiful and quite green for this part of the world, very chilly. We came through the Machursburg yesterday and there was a lot of snow. We're still feeling the after effects of snow in the area. But anyway, we are heading to warmer weather and just enjoying the road and how different it is to when we were here the last time around.
The first 60 kilometers from Pofadder along the N14 was tarred road, before we turned off onto the sand roads that eventually run adjacent to the Augrabies Falls National Park. It was time to deflate our tires once more. The Augrabies Falls National Park is approximately 820 square kilometers, and wildlife ranges from most small antelope like springbok, klipspringer, steenbok to gemsbok, kudu, eland and zebra, and a resident herd of giraffe, which we had the pleasure of getting really up close to. Arriving just after lunchtime, we relaxed in the midday heat, then headed to the viewpoints to see the spectacular falls. Even in the dry season, the Augrabies Falls are very impressive. The only predators are naturally occurring blackback jackal, caracal and bat-eared fox, plus the occasional Cape leopard, but sightings are not common.
So this is my anti-muggie hairnet or headnet at Augrabies Falls National Park. Now, for some reason, there are an insane amount of muggies. I mean, you climb out the car and your whole face is just swarmed with them. And I don't take to that very well. I absolutely hate little things flying in my face, especially when I'm trying to hold a camera steady and film. So I managed to buy these nets and a hat, so it keeps the muggies away. But incredibly beautiful in the park today, very beautiful.
We are experiencing the most incredible weather at Augrabies. It's been quite amazing, you know. Since we left Stellenbosch on Monday, we've really experienced a lot of cold weather. And today was the first day that we can honestly say that it feels like summer has arrived. We went into the park this afternoon. We experienced a huddle of beautiful giraffe, and they were very happy for us to photograph them, which was fantastic. We spent several minutes photographing them at all angles. We went deeper into the park. We went to the canyon viewing point too, in fact. The first was particularly lovely because we could look right down into the gorge. We've spent a wonderful afternoon at Augrabies. The last time we were here, we were on a motorcycle. It was a couple of years ago. And because we were on a bike, we were unable to actually go into the park. So today was glorious. We went through some beautiful water crossings, and the scenery was lovely because we were there at golden hour. And we're having a lovely brown now, and tomorrow we're not too sure what we have on the cards for tomorrow, but we're going to be heading off early. We'd like to film in first light, which is always the best.
At first light the next morning, we were already on site in the Augrabies Falls National Park, and the lighting was spectacular. There are several water crossings in the first few kilometers of the park, and as we know, water always makes for spectacular slow-mo. Our friendly herd of giraffe were the first game spotted, although a little far off. The powerful 50x zoom on my Sony RX10 pulled it in nicely. Most of the roads in the national park can be driven in a normal sedan vehicle. High clearance is not required, and motorcycles are not allowed in the park. There are dedicated 4x4 trails, hiking trails and mountain biking trails marked in the park. It's always a good idea to visit the gorge viewpoints in the morning and in the afternoon. The lighting is totally different and the perspective changes completely. Augrabies Falls National Park is a really great experience, and the scenery and animals make it a worthwhile visit any time of year. The next full day was dedicated to the 140-kilometer loop out of the park and up to Riemvasmaak and the hot springs. It's important to note that you will need a 4x4 to reach the hot springs, as the road is not in good condition. Unmaintained steep rocky passes need to be negotiated. We took the 4x4 trail from the hot springs to Bloupits and across the Orange River back into Augrabies Falls National Park. This is a breathtakingly beautiful day drive. So behind me you can see the Riemvasmaak Hot Springs. The water feels about 30 degrees or 35 degrees. Further along is a little hike down to another set of rock pools, looking more like a natural rock pool, but yet that water's cold. I wouldn't say ice cold, but it certainly isn't the 30 plus degrees that this pool here is. So anyway, we've had a look at it, we've seen it, we filmed the kissing rocks, and it's quite hot today, about 30 degrees, and neither Kirsten and I feel like getting into 35-degree water on a hot day. So we've had a look around, and we're basically going to head out now and drive that incredible track back and go and explore the rest of the 4x4 roads that take us back into Augrabies Falls National Park. We're not sure of the condition of the road at all, but we'll have a look, and of course we're in a four-wheel drive, so we should get through. If you ever have the opportunity to drive this 20-kilometer long route from Riemvasmaak to Bloupits, we highly recommend it. It's a beautiful route and the gravel road is in reasonable condition, but 4x4 or high clearance is advised. The roads can be done by experienced adventure bikers with at least some sand riding experience. The route is best ridden solo as it requires a lot of stand-up riding. It's midday and we still have time to drive through to Kgalagadi because I noticed a slight rattle in my rear suspension when leaving Augrabies in the morning. It's Friday and best to have a look now rather than on a Saturday morning when most workshops are closed. We have a long road ahead of us in the upcoming week. We discovered a little issue on the Jimny this morning when we were driving around Augrabies. When we were going over corrugations really slowly, I heard a rattling noise and I thought, I hope it's not suspension. I felt the rear wheels and they had a little bit of play in them. So we shot through to Kgalagadi, and we've been to a couple of places to try and get the rear wheel bearings replaced, because we went to Dunlop tires and they jacked the car up and took one of the wheels off, and there's definitely play in the wheel bearings. Now, given the amount of gravel we've already done, about 1,100 kilometers, and what we've still got to do in Kgalagadi and into Namibia, it's best that we get the wheel bearings replaced now while there's still a little bit of play before it gets worse. So unfortunately, no one here in Kgalagadi can do it right now. They don't have spare parts. They're going to have to order from Uppington. So we've phoned Suzuki Uppington. We're just waiting for a result, and then we'll know whether we've got to shoot through to Uppington now. The problem is that tomorrow we're scheduled to drive through Uppington to Kgalagadi, but their workshop is closed on a Saturday. Vehicle repairs on weekends are always a problem, especially when you're on the road and you've got to keep moving, otherwise you miss your booked accommodation up ahead.
After an enjoyable lunch in Kgalagadi, we decided to drive the extra 80 kilometers to Uppington anyway to save time. Suzuki Uppington had the wheel bearings we needed and were going to organize fitment at the Dunlop Fit It workshop in Uppington. So we went to have the inspection done to be sure. The professional team at Uppington Fit It were extremely efficient, and within minutes they determined that it was not the wheel bearings but a loose panhard rod. Just as well we didn't order the bearings and waste our time and money fitting them. A special thanks to Swanee and the team at Fit It Uppington. We also managed to have the 12-volt socket repaired whilst in town.
So it just goes to show, we would have changed our entire trip and ordered wheel bearings and gone to Uppington and had them fitted, only to discover it wasn't the wheel bearings. Had we listened to what the previous Dunlop fitted in Kgalagadi had said, that it was definitely the wheel bearings, one makes plans according to that. It's always good to get a second opinion, and it's always good to know your own vehicle.
Up next in part 2 of episode 2, we make our way back through Uppington up to the Kgalagadi for 4 days in search of the elusive big cats. We enter Namibia and travel to the enchanting quiver tree forest and Mesosaurus fossil park and 4x4 trail before heading back into South Africa. Much adventure lies ahead.